There are people already who are permanent and pensionable. How do you disengage them? How? You can't just wake up and disengage. They are not running a kiosk. Kenya is not a kiosk that is belonging to them.
So
Kenya is not a small little kiosk. Kenya is a huge multinational corporation that must be run through principles of proper management. They are the ones who should be sacked. They add no value to this country. They should forget about small people, drivers, and other people who are just earning some small little money, and that money is also taxed heavily. It is taxed indirectly. It is taxed directly. It is taxed. It is taxed and taxed.
I will not pay 206,000. I will not pay.
You want to untwist
I
them,
will
you
not
don't
pay.
want
I
them
will
to
not
untwist
pay.
you.
Call it I'm twisting. I will not pay 206,000. Take it from me.
That is the only
as
thing.
long as I'm the Minister for Public Service.
Yes.
I'm going to come itaendelea. Because what am I going to say to other people who went to school also?
Because if they continue rubbing our wounds and vomiting on our feet, we'll vomit on their faces. What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not so going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted. My name is Jadil Kabera. It's always a joy, it's always an honor, it's always a privilege to have you joining us for conversations here. Conversations to build this country as we're progressing with William Ruto's administration. We're starting this conversation with what is happening here in Nairobi and across the country. Heavy rainfall destroying people's livelihood, people's homes and people's lives. At least 4 people have died since this rain started. 6 people are actually missing here in Nairobi because of this heavy downpour happening in Kibra, Lindini, Mathare 4A, and different parts of this city. I want to start this conversation with Philip Kisia on this, but Philip, how are you doing today?
Very well. At least today, yesterday you denied me some tea. Today you've been. I'm happy at least today.
Yesterday
have a cup of tea.
Kisia, you have to understand.
No, I understand. Uchumi is bad.
So we deny you yesterday, we give you today.
Uchumi is bad. We're tightening our belts.
We are rationing. But let's talk about what is happening in the country. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says this is not to do with politics, it is affecting everyone. You look at what is happening. Johnson Sakaja trying to mitigate, saying he has deployed people to go and unclog, drainage systems. But first, let's talk about this time where we're having flooding here in Nairobi. How would you rate Sakaja's, handling of the situation now?
Jed, before even I dive into today's let me at least allow me to share with you my highlights for this week.
Oh yeah, we usually start with highlights.
Yeah, my highlights.
Yeah.
It comes when Kenya is actually facing an emergency situation. We're actually in a crisis. Yeah, it's a state of emergency. So there are 2 things that caught my attention. Number one is that while Kenya, they are, facing is flooding everywhere, and people are being affected, and people are dying, and my condolences to the people who have lost their lives through our own carelessness and poor leadership and poor management, poor governance. May their souls rest in peace. May their families have peace. And on behalf of those people who claim to be managers, who are mismanaging the country, mismanaging counties, I ask for forgiveness on their behalf. Because people should not die as a result of just flooding. Okay? This is carelessness. But 2 things that caught my eye. Number one is while this is happening, the president was in Naivasha buying a yellow car, a sports car.
Oh.
I suspect it's several million.
Even if it's his own money he's spending.
It doesn't matter. It is what impression are you giving Kenyans? Whether it's your money or not money. In any event, we suspect it is money that is earning from working for Kenyans. So it is our money. But that aside is the impression that you are living with the people. That you can go, displaying opulence and your people are dying. Most unfortunate thing.
Okay.
And I think President Ruto needs to, this Sunday, to pray about it and apologize to Kenyans.
Okay.
The second thing I saw again, it touches on governance. The Prime Minister for Spain is considering to resign from office just because the wife has not been found to be corrupt. But her integrity is being questioned. And for that, the guy is saying, you know what? This is my spouse. I am the Prime Minister of this great country. There is a very thin line between the Prime Minister and being a spouse. And therefore, I would rather step aside, leave the office, because my wife, my spouse, who should be the best example as a first lady, has been put to question. So I was wondering, when will it ever happen in Kenya or in Africa that you can step aside? Here, people who are actually thieves of public resources, people who are murderers, are given a badge of honor, and they're actually rewarded by big state jobs. Can you imagine? Look at the contrast.
As we're contrasting that, we're talking about Johnson Sakaja. We'll also talk about CS Moses Kuria, his proposal to convert all national government employees, permanent employees, to contract-based positions. But to talk about Sakaja, Kisia, you were running this city as Nairobi's town clerk. In case you don't know, Kisia was running this city as a town clerk. Talk to me about how he's handling this situation. I said before, 4 people have died, 6 people are missing. We're looking at people getting carried away with water, businesses getting destroyed, people losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in the city. How is he handling this situation from you were sitting in that position perspective?
You see, please don't compare apples and oranges.
Okay, that's a shame, but continue.
Please, because, you know, I am an astute manager. I'm actually a manager. I'm a fan of management. So there's a difference, please. Please don't compare apples and oranges.
Okay, so how would you assess his
Let us get back to the issues of the challenges, the crisis that you're facing as a country and as a city. For me, I don't want to delve into whether Sakaja has the capacity to deal with this or not. I want to deal with the political party called the UDA. Because this is your crisis. It's our crisis, but because you're in charge, you are supposed to sort out this one. Because no one other than the President of the Republic of Kenya campaigned for Sakaja. So if there are any shortcomings within Sakaja's administration, the first person to intervene should be the head of state and the head of UDA. Because the one who presented a candidate, and they say that this candidate has all the necessary qualifications and experience to manage the capital county of the Republic of Kenya. So he should be taking the blame. He should be in the forefront in dealing with these particular issues. So I find it most unfortunate when the UDA brigade throws the poor little young man under the bus and leaves him under the bus and leaves him to vultures to start tearing him into pieces.
The MPs have come out.
They are tearing the young man into pieces. It's most unfortunate because this is their baby. They should be carrying their baby. Okay? The challenges that are facing Nairobi today are beyond Sakaja's capacity. You get my point?
Yeah.
So, that being the case, His Excellency the President should have moved in. He has moved in now, although a little bit late. He should have done that because, one, the Department of Meteorology normally gives focus and the warnings. I know they are prayer warriors. I know even last year my president, I do look for that video.
Yeah.
You look for that video.
Hata juzi mlisikia tukawa na habari pengine kutakuwa na El Nino ambayo itaharibu kule, itaharibu mali ingine. Lakini Mungu ni nani? Mmesikia wale watu wamesema tena ile El Nino haitakuweko. Wamesema kutakuwa tu na mvua kubwa lakini haitafika pale ya kuharibu. Sisi tunamshukuru Mungu jameni.
I know my president one said that, these people had said there'll be a Nino, but now, because of God, because of prayers, prayer warriors, now, this thing, the rains will be just normal rains.
Yeah.
Now, I was wondering, because our meteorological department has so many people who are highly qualified and experienced. The question is, did they give us a warning that there's going to be heavy rains? I think they gave us a warning. So, and we knew rains had come at about this time. We knew that they were going to be, the rains were going to be severe. How come we did not prepare for them? How come we are reacting? I saw the principal secretary of ASAL on Citizen yesterday. The only thing we say that the government is going to do it. The government has capacity. The government is prepared. The government is going to do it. What level of incompetence is that?
It's due.
You are reacting. It is about being able, using all the instruments we have as a country, all the resources we have in the meteorology department, using that knowledge, experience, and information to prepare in advance, because that department does scanning of the environment. They scan the environment and they tell us, okay, this is likely the situation. If we had that information, what did we do with that information? We should not wait until people start dying, we lose property, then you start saying the government has capacity, the government is doing it, the government is going to do it. You should have actually come up with mitigation measures to stop this thing from happening. So I feel sorry for Sakaja, but the person who presented the candidate should be talking to us and telling us exactly where the assumption that he made was wrong. That maybe he made that decision for political expediency. And now we are facing this crisis. So let him come and help Sakaja to deal with this crisis.
Is the job just too difficult? Because we've looked at Kidero one term, we've looked at Sonko one term, we've looked at... Is the job just that difficult to handle? I think, or we don't have people who can run this city. I think there's this lady on Citizen TV, an educationist, who was saying, if you insist on marrying a prostitute, don't complain if she doesn't come back home. Are we giving people jobs that they simply cannot handle?
I am happy that this is happening. And I think we need to have more disasters and more challenges so that people can learn that, please, for heaven's sake, don't just take chances. Don't give somebody a job because he or she comes from your tribe. Don't give somebody a job because when you very well know that he or she has no experience to undertake that assignment, that you have given them a huge responsibility, and they have never run a kiosk. They have never. Don't give somebody responsibility. Nairobi has 5 million people. It has a huge budget. You've never been responsible for a budget like that one, and then you're told, here's a budget, here are the people, here are the resources, here are the employees, here and what? You definitely have no capacity to do the job. It is actually more compounding when you don't have the necessary qualifications to perform the job.
Yeah.
But even when there are gaps, as somebody who believes in leadership, that's why you work with a team. And I can tell you, I was at City Hall. Now there's a year of the county receiving 20 billion, 25 billion from the national government. The highest transfer during my time that I got was 2.9 billion in the financial year 2011-2012. 2.9 billion. And I can tell you, we were doing almost everything that these guys are doing right now. We were doing. But what we'll do, because I was working with competent and qualified people, I'm also competent and qualified, we would prepare in advance. Before the rains, I would make sure that part of the performance contract for the Department of Engineering, I would make sure that the city engineer, one of the things he signed for was unclogging and clearing the drainage system to make sure that they can take an extra load you know, in the event that, you know, the rains were more than anticipated. So I think it's about inability for those in positions of responsibility to exercise leadership, to be able to use the resources that they have in terms of manpower, in terms of equipment, to deliver the job. And of course, you know, we are lacking management. Now, this is where management comes in. Planning, organizing, controlling. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Speaking about management, CS, Moses Kuria Public Service, CS, has proposed to convert all national government employees to contract-based positions. Now, this has sparked obviously a lot of debate, a lot of speculation regarding its potential implications. Talk to me first about the advantages of transitioning and the disadvantages of transitioning all these wafanyikazi wa serikali into contract-based positions, where we say after 1 year, you come and reapply again, or after 1 year we will not consider you again, because it says we cannot deal with doctors the way they want us to deal with them. Says, in my position as CS, I will not allow 207,000 for medical interns. This is what we need to first deal with, contract-based positions for all employees.
You know, I must confess that Moses Kuria is my friend, and he's my former party leader. In fact, at one point, he wanted me to run his party as a governor when we were expected to have a by-elections in Nairobi. But of course, the government that time made sure that we didn't have one. So if you see me going after him with soft gloves and no metals under the glove, just understand that. But the point is, I think we have a cabinet where most of them are still excited. They're still excited. They can't believe that they're cabinet secretaries. Because you cannot make such a serious policy, a pronouncement, before, you know, the technocrats look at it, before there's public participation. Because this is a matter that will affect the public. And the Constitution is clear, if you can't just make a decision affecting the public without participation. Here we have a cabinet secretary who is suggesting that people must be put on contracts. I have been involved in performance, contracting, and management for more than 3 decades. More than 3 decades. Remember, I spent most of my time in the private sector. So I understand the issue of performance contracting better than most of those people in cabinet. I understand. That one I can tell you for free. Okay? But you need to understand, you must look at the philosophy of contract management, performance management, contracting management. Okay? It started in the private sector some years back, where we found it necessary to put top level management on contract for several reasons. I'll give you a few. One, that you do not, that somebody who is at a certain level is limited in terms of ideas. And the changes that they can bring, if they are not brought within a certain time frame, even if you give them more time, it's a waste of time. Number two, that there must be some freshness brought in management. So that is why we have made as good practice that to have people at top level signing a contract for, say, 3 years, 4 or 5, whatever the period, the duration is. Then you agree with the organization you're working for that this is our strategic plan, and then you agree on how it will be rolled out and in what frequency. Some organizations have a cycle of, say, 5 years. Kenya has a cycle of 5 years. Okay? So whatever cycle it is, can be 3 or it can be what. But remember, it is on contract because we expected to do certain things within your contract term that you signed for.
Okay.
That this is what I'll deliver within that contract period. And the board then evaluates your performance on an annual basis, and a report card is given. Okay? Of course, there are those quarterly reports, but those ones are taken seriously, but The annual report is one which counts. So if you say you have a contract of 5 years or 4 years, whatever it is, the first year you underperform, you get the first warning. The second year you underperform, the board can make a decision to fire you even before your contract period comes to an end. Okay? Or you may get a warning, final warning, and if you don't perform, the employer can disengage before the term comes to an end.
Okay.
Okay? So that is the philosophy behind performance contracting, the contract management. But most importantly, it works on reward and sanctions. That the employer is so clear, you are so clear on what you must deliver and what the employer must give you to enable you perform your job. But if you perform beyond expectations, there's a reward system.
Oh.
So I talked about sanctioning,
Yes.
where they can do away with you. But if you excel, again, there's a proper reward system. Do we have a reward system in this government? Have they thought about a reward system? We do not have any reward system that has been made public to us. And I doubt whether there's any reward system. Okay? Because it has to go through so many stages of participation before then it is adopted. So, a good idea, but there are so many things that can be challenged. Number one, you can't just wake up from wherever you woke up from, whether it was from a kiosk or whatever it was, and I'm hoping not from,
Local
from those other local joints, and you decide to make that statement. Policy statements need to be guided. Okay? There are already people, and then the other thing that you must know, Jed, is that when you ask yourself many questions, up to what level can you put people on contracts? Putting a driver on contract does not make sense. It doesn't. Because you can imagine the resources that you need, because a public job, you need to advertise for that job, you need to retire, and then you need to advertise or to interview, you need to engage, and then the others need to be retired, and then they need to be compensated. It becomes so expensive below a certain level. Okay? And I don't think we've got to a level of that efficiency that we can now say, let us now purely go for any contracting management system. I will give you a very basic example. He himself, my friend Moses Kuria, plus his boss, His Excellency the President, and the entire cabinet, have been rated by Kenyans through surveys as having failed. They have been rated from mediocre to extremely poor. Those results are there.
Yes.
In fact, the president improved from 40-something to the last survey, so to 50-something. So he got a C minus.
Yes.
Okay? But is that what we had signed with him? We signed for excellence. So how come, if they're talking about, if they believe in performance management and contracting, how come not a single cabinet secretary, not a single PS has either been sacked for non-performance? How come the president himself, who is in charge of this team, has not offered to resign? How come the president himself has not even given us an explanation of his underperformance? It simply means that they don't believe in performance contract. They don't even understand what performance management is all about. Because if there are people who firmly believe in performance management, we would have seen some heads rolling for non-performance, because in another, I think 2, 3, 4 months, they will have been 2 years in office. We have not seen anybody being sanctioned for the first year, the second year is ending.
Yeah.
We have not seen anything. This government has another 2.5 years to go, and they want to talk about performance. The final thing on that, Jed,
Yeah.
The law does not work retrospectively. There are people already who are permanent and pensionable. How do you disengage them? How? You can't just wake up and disengage. They are not running a kiosk. Kenya is not a kiosk that is belonging to them.
So
Kenya is not a small little kiosk. Kenya is a huge multinational corporation that must be run through principles of proper management.
I've said a very
They are running this country as if it's a small little kiosk that you can wake up. We are not, for heaven's sake, this is not a corporation for selling chicken. This is a serious corporation.
I've said something very serious. How do you disengage those who are permanent and pensionable and get into contracts?
How? How do you do it legally? How do you just wake up? You have signed with this person. The person is already planned. Where do you get money even to disengage, even if they agree to disengage? Where do you get those resources to disengage? Because remember, this guy has signed a contract. If it's 40, he has another 20 years to work.
Yes.
So they will be expecting you to pay them for the 20 years. But these are just a pipe dream. I have said, I have provided solutions before. They should not be worried about this wage bill. Okay? Because if they are sincere about the wage bill, the president should not be making attempts to employ these fellows called CAS, whose job is just at something called impact and process.
Yes.
As per Lynn Engich. We know what impact they're coming with, we know what processes they're coming to deal with. Okay? That is one. If this government was indeed serious, I've said before, Jed, the presidency should, president's office should not be spending 9% of public funds of the entire budget. If they're serious, can he do it 6%? Why is he spending 9% of public resources? Doing things that don't add value to this country. Why should you have the first lady, second lady, and other ladies consuming public resources? Why? Why should you be spending 4.5 million daily on entertainment? Why? Why should we be thinking about buying a new presidential jet when civil public servants, of course, they are consuming 47% of our collections because our collections are low. What we should be asking ourselves is, what can we do to improve our collections so that the percentage to collection reduces? Because
the goal here is to reduce the wage bill by 35%, to 35%.
We can even do by 28. That can be done. I've told you, Jay, that can be done very, very quickly.
Yes.
Can be done. What you need is a motivated workforce so that they can produce. Civil service in this country maybe are not as efficient. Maybe they're not motivated. Maybe they're not given the necessary resources to produce. If they produce more, we'll collect more revenue in terms of taxes. If we manage our budgets properly, there are so many things we can do that can contain this wage bill to collection. The biggest thing, that instead of harassing, and I can tell you, out of the 1 million public servants that they are talking about, they are the ones who are consuming and eating our money. They are probably about 3-4% who are eating our money. They are the ones who should be sacked. They add no value to this country. They should forget about small people, drivers, and other people who are just earning some small little money, and that money is also taxed heavily. It is taxed indirectly. It is taxed directly. It is taxed and taxed.
You've said we need to motivate our workforce. What might this proposal, how might this proposal impact this workforce that we're talking about in terms of, morale and even the quality of service being delivered to Kenyans?
You see, first of all, I didn't like his statement, and he's my friend, and he must stop being arrogant. And me, I can tell him because I'm senior to him in everything, in management and even in years and experience. He should stop copying his boss. He should stop talking that I don't care. I'll not pay.
Doctors,
his statement was, I will not pay interns 200. Is it his money?
He said, if they're paying our arrears from 2017, we don't need it.
Let me tell my good friend Ms. Kega and my good friend Mr. Atela. Thank you very much. I have got enough advisors in my office. I will not pay 206,000. I will not pay.
You want to untwist
I
them,
will
you
not
don't
pay.
want
I
them
will
to
not
untwist
pay.
you.
Call it twisting. I will not pay 206,000. Take it from me.
That is the only
as
thing.
long as I'm the Minister for Public Service.
Yes.
I'm going to come itaendelea. Because what am I going to say to other people who went to school also?
It is his family money. These are public funds. Okay? And we still stand by what we've said before, that all civil servants, doctors, policemen, military, all civil servants and public servants must be properly compensated. We should stop this habit of compensating just a few, 2-3%. They are already proposed, there's a proposal to increase the president's salary, deputy president, and other ministers. What about the poor down to other civil servants and public servants? They should not take Kenyans for granted. Kenya does not belong to them, the 2-3%. If today the 97% decide to turn against them, they will not enjoy that money. And they should stop rubbing our wounds. We have so many wounds. They should stop. Because if they continue rubbing our wounds and vomiting on our feet, we'll vomit on their faces.
Let's take a pause. Continue now, Kizzy. Have you relaxed? I think after this one, Moses Kure will not be your friend anymore. But I want you to...
They stop being my friends. Korea used to come to my house, and he knows, and he cannot deny. And, we would have a drink. But from the time he went to office, and I'm not saying... I want to be objective. I'm not talking about Moses Kure. I'm talking about a government that is incompetent. Period. I'm not talking about an individual.
How do you think first?
I'm talking about a government that's not coordinated. Because I'm talking about a government where people wake up from, I don't know where they're woken up from. I don't know. And they come and make serious policy statements that is going to affect the morale of Kenyans. Because
you say this is a...
These are 97% of about 1 million. Is a lot of people that you want to demotivate by making careless statements. We shall not allow you.
So, because
this
is very serious, and I want to know, is it fast implementable, and how should government communicate what it wants to communicate with regards to the wage bill if you want to move forward? Because now we're going to have a lot of labor issues, a lot of unions coming up to protect their workers. How can government communicate what they want to communicate in the future?
This is a government that has failed in basic communication. Okay? This is how you deal with human beings. You're not dealing with machines.
Yeah.
You sit down, you look at the challenge you're facing, you come up with a joint solution. Because when you engage, I remember, I don't know, most of these people in cabinet, apart from a few of them, maybe Musala and a few of them were working. When we faced crisis, when there's a war, I think between Iran and the US or something, I think it was 92 or 94. Okay? I'll give it an example, practical example. There was a serious crisis. Occupancies from the highs of 90% dropped to 30% occupancies. So the industry was completely affected. I was in tourism that time. We were affected. Do you know what we did? We sat down as an industry, we sat down as companies, and we said, how can we navigate through this crisis together? Together. Do you know what we did? We agreed as top management to take a 50% cut. Top management. We didn't go for small people. We just said, you know what? If your salary is that time, say, 500,000, you straight away go to 250. But that was taken as an advance to the company.
Yes.
We were actually loaning the company.
Your salaries.
Yeah. We said, okay, for the next 12 months, let us go through pain. But when we start recovering, the company will pay us back slowly, that money. That's the first thing we did. The second thing, we talked to the unions and junior staff when they said, you know what, management has picked up 50%. Okay? Can you also contribute? And the union said, you know what, we're in this thing together. We agree that company can take 25%. We are taking 25% cut. When things improve, you pay us back. That is how you sort out a crisis that is affecting a community. You don't stand on the podium and start threatening people. Go and threaten your children. Don't threaten us. We have no business with your threats. I I look at some of these people and they think that we're not children for heaven's sake.
You said something interesting with regards to your analogy.
So, and then that was my knowledge. But the question, how do you communicate?
Yes.
First of all, come up with a joint position. Communication becomes easy, becomes just formal. We are putting right, this is what we've agreed. Okay? This is a government that is on the rooftop and looking down on Kenyans, vomiting on Kenyans, doing all manner of things on Kenyans, treating Kenyans as if they are children. That is how they are communicating to us. Communication should be cordial, should be a two-way thing. That this is a challenge you are facing. What do you think? How should you go about it? So you come up with a joint solution. But the way they are going about it, I urge all Kenyans to resist any move such as converting contracts that are already permanent and punishable to some contract thing that they don't understand. They should start with this cabinet. We would want to, in fact, if they were serious with performance management, because I am there, I've done it. I've done it even, we are the pioneers of this contract management in government, and I understand fully how it works. Yeah, and would step aside. That means, we will not even wait to be told to go home. You go home when you're not performing. This cabinet is not performing. This government is not performing. They are not even going home. In fact, they want to extend the term in office because those officers are too sweet. Will not allow you.
You said something to do with crisis when it comes to when you are working in the tourism sector. Are we in a crisis as a country when it comes to our finances or our economy? Or are we just, denying Kenyans their rights, these civil servants their rights? Is this the situation we're having?
You see, there's no doubt we are going through some challenges. There's no doubt. But how are we resolving the challenges we are facing as a country? People are going through pain and challenges. Instead of coming up with joint solutions, you are sitting in an office and imposing more pain on Kenyans, increasing taxes. Okay? Instead of finding a way of navigating out of the challenge without causing more pain to people, you just want to inflict pain. It is as if, I think this Kenya Kwanza government derives happiness from inflicting pain on human beings. I think they're very happy when they see you in pain. I think they're very happy.
But how can
when they see you suffering?
What is the ripple effect of that? If they're happy when people are suffering, does that mean they will be got
Of course, you can see, they are not meeting tax revenue, any collections because people are demotivated. Because the people who are working are Kenyans. Yeah, they are just sitting in offices with air conditioning, what have you, and collecting kickbacks. Collecting kickbacks. Okay. That is what is happening. There's no performance. Yeah, so they are demotivating people, and 1 million people is not a joke. I can tell you, civil servants in this country have a lot of influence on the ground. Because they're touching police. Are they saying they're going to reduce the number of police and yet we have not maintained? They are touching the military. Are they saying they're going to reduce the military? Are they saying they're going to put the military on performance contracts? Are they saying they're going to put police on contracts? Are they saying they're going to put teachers on contract? These are daydreamers. They should find ways of solving this problem without inflicting pain on Kenyans. I think they want a short route out. Or they think they can threaten Kenyans by saying, now we're going to perform contracts. This is not, Kenya does not belong to you. Kenya belongs to Kenyans. And if you're tired of doing the job, pave way so that Philip Kisi and the rest can come in and provide proper leadership.
Pave way so that Philip Kisi can come and provide proper leadership. That is Philip Kisi. What is your take on proposal to convert all national government employees to contract-based position? Leave a comment down below. Share this video with as much people as possible so that we can have meaningful conversations for the public service Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria to hear. But before we wrap up, final message, Kisi, this fine Friday.
Well, to this government, which is our government, please reduce the pain that Kenyans are going through. It's already painful even seeing your faces on TV. It's painful listening to you. It's just painful. People are in pain. People are fed up. Please mend your ways. Find more innovative ways of providing leadership. And also surround yourselves with people who understand public service, public administration, and management. Failure to which you will be removed from those offices by fire, by force.
Thanks for tuning in. That's Conversations about Nairobi County Public Service CS Moses Kuria. What must be done should be done by fire or by force. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely
What
rest
gives
of
him
your day.
the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not Sogoi. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.